Hey everybody, what's going on? This is your best buddy Basil. You're here for the pre-show. Congratulations. I don't know who's here, but if you're here, say something in the chat so I can say hi, like estimating 1, discovering 3. Shabbat shalom to you. I am about to send out the text message. Here I go. Boop. That's right. We've got hundreds of Canarians all around the world who have signed up for the Canary Cry text message alert system. It's a simple system, a modest system, where all you do is sign up and say, hey, give me a text message before you go live, because big tech is not sending my notifications. Gmail is censoring my emails from Canary Cry, putting it straight in the trash. I don't know how to do it, folks. Just get on the text message alert system. You'll get a little text message straight from me. That's right, no robots here to let you know that we're getting the show started. Remember, you got to text the word Canary to 877-740-3226. That's Canary to 877-740-3226, and you'll get a text. Just like all these other crazy people. Okay, here we go. Santa wears brown. Oh, hope Christmas time was not too difficult for you. Thanks for being here over on Twitch. We got Seraphim, Ellie, Nancy, Sandra, Stefan, Dadalorian, 122go2 over on Twitch. What's up, everybody? Okay, the Rumble looking a little sad over on the Rumble. But now that the text is going out, that'll lead everybody to the Rumble. I don't know if Rumble is sending notifications for us. But anyways, let's see here. Let's see the text messages that people sent back to me. Remember, you can reply to the text messages. However, I cannot get in a conversation with you. It's very expensive for me to text you. But okay, we got somebody here. Thanks, Basil. Let's see. Who's this? Oh, I really loved... Oh, somebody does a great job of sending us a bunch of scripture here. What do we got? This is Jonah 2, 9 through 10. Jonah. Interesting. But I, with a voice of thanksgiving, will sacrifice to you. I will fulfill what I vowed. Deliverance belongs to Yahweh. Yahweh spoke to the fish, and it vomited Jonah out on the dry land. That's always fun. Thank you very much for that. Let's see. Somebody says, I'm only doing this because I missed, or rather you teased Nephilim in Antarctica. What was the story? I ride a giant and yes, it devours everything in its path. Huh. Okay. I don't remember what this was, but don't worry. We'll give you all the Nephilim news you could possibly handle. This person just says I'm driving. Okay, I get it. Sent from my car. Maybe a Tesla driver. Interesting. Okie dokie. Oh, and we got people texting back immediately. Happy Friday, says somebody. All right. Let's get the show started. What do y'all say? Just a reminder, check your email box. If you've signed up for the newsletter, there's literally a 20% chance that it made it into your inbox. And the other 80% chance is that it went to your spam or your, some weird tab. This is what is being sort of enforced upon us by Gmail and other email people. They don't think that you want the email. Even though you signed up and subscribed, they're like, surely this person has done this in error. So go find the email wherever it landed in your boxes, put a star on it, whitelist it, flag it, do all the things, or respond to it. The best thing to do is open it and just respond to it. That'll tell your email algorithms that you want to actually get those texts or those emails. All right, let's get this show started, folks. What's up, K and Mind to Canvas, G's and Crackers? Okay. Fun. Brian's here. What's up, Brian? Denise. Joyful Noise. Okay, here we go. Let's get the show started.
The world is getting crazier. People are acting more and more insane. The end of the world is tomorrow. Tomorrow. There's only one thing to do when the world is falling apart. Listen to Basil and Gonz as they discuss this week's news and events through the lens of Bible prophecy. You are listening to Canary Cry News Talk.
You're listening to Canary Cry News Talk. Today is December 29th, 2023. We are live to tape on episode 701. And today, STAGS Undead. And signing on from Off the Grid, Razzle Dazzle. I'm your best buddy Basil, and you are not crazy.
And my name is Gons, director of the Age of Deceit Films, your favorite Asian provocateur for Christ, live to tape from California to bring you the best news, which is the gospel message of Jesus Christ, while reporting the egregious with a well-rounded, biblically grounded take on world events and today's emergent phenomena. Basil, is everybody ready for the return of the dragon energy? Who's ready? You ready? You ready for the dragon energy? What about you in the chat?
Jeez,
dragon energy all over the place, baby. 24 dragons back.
Wasn't that Ye? Ye said he had dragon energy.
Ye did, and he said that he and Trump both had dragon energy.
Whoa,
and of course,
double
it's the
dragon energy. They're dragon
dragon
brothers.
Double dragon, and if you recall, Basil, back in 2012, the year that this, or at least the Canary Cry podcast started. We started it because there was some talk on the fringes of some corners of the internet about the end of the world at the end of 2012.
Back when it was weird.
Yeah, back when it was weird and nobody liked talking about it. And that was the year of the dragon. That was one of the things. And I think 2024, the 12 years is back. It's a dragon year again next year.
Oh, what is this? The
Chinese zodiac.
Zodiac?
Yeah. So
okay.
We've made a round trip on the zodiac, Basil. Imagine that.
Well, funny enough, it was 2012. That was sort of the last big end of the world scare.
Sure.
Remember the Aztec calendar?
Of course. Yeah. Yeah. The return of Quetzalcoatl.
Then I know some people are kind of a little bit new to the lifestyle.
The end of the world talk.
The apocalypse lifestyle. But yeah, 2012 was a big one. And I think that's interesting because that was all about the Aztec calendar, but was also Year of the Dragon. Here we are, Year of the Dragon. And everybody's talking about the end of the world again.
Yeah.
The apocalypse, the revealing. I don't think that's necessarily just a coincidence.
No.
But
and we've
that's
made
what
it.
We're here to figure out.
We made it into the 700s. And apparently we just hit 7,777 subscribers on YouTube. So, hey, congrats to us. Yeah, that's what it says.
Like today?
Like right now, yeah. That by the way, fluctuates. Person in chat who informed us. Because
that's cool.
Yeah, it's good timing on everything,
Look at that. Last episode of the year, ending the year with 7,777 subscribers on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Not counting all the secret places that we will live on. Okay. Well, what do you think? You want to jump right into it? Sorry, I am having lots of goo. I'm having goo problems today, and I don't have my mute button plugged in because it was buzzing. So I will try to keep the goo sounds down, but forgive me ahead of time, especially when I'm here to make sure we have a disclaimer.
It's time for a disclaimer.
Now listen up,
YouTube. That's right. And just for all the content moderators and censorship managers out there, be they robots or humans, everything you hear on this show comes directly from the mainstream corporate news media. We do not claim to be experts on healthcare, geopolitics, military strategy, corporate law, or the moral and ethical implications of any of these topics, nor do we implicitly or explicitly support or subscribe to any sources or narratives containing misinformation, disinformation, or malinformation, as defined by the Department of Homeland Security. We're good boys. All right, YouTube, we're good boys. That's right. And let me give you a rundown.
Oh, look, here's Basil.
Let me bring you up to speed.
Well, folks, it's happening again. The long, slow disaster of the zombie deer apocalypse. This has popped up every once in a while. Again, popping up recently. Interesting connections with some of the directions the world is heading in. And, of course, we'll be taking a look back at the 2011 campaign from the CDC, the Zombie Apocalypse Preparedness Campaign. Very important. Especially in the context of deer. Then We'll be checking in with Obama, what he has to say about the state of the world moving into 2024. Let's say it has something to do with sewage. And then a quick note on some sewer surveillance, our creme de la creme of theories that has become maybe one of the most important aspects of surveillance moving into the future, in which we all have no privacy, not even our feces. That has kept on rolling. Checking in with Elon and Flippy and the problems at the Tesla factory. Yes, folks, it was just a matter of time. We'll be talking about robot rights and our best friend Flippy. Then main section of the show. Scientists explain why doing your own research leads to believing conspiracies. Yeah, don't do your own research, because then you'll see that conspiracies are true. And then at the end of the show, we've got a disturbing Instagram face trend that we will let you know about. But first, Gons, our lead stories.
Speaking of the beast system, beast system.
A pandemic special.
All right, we're going to start off. There were multiple outlets talking about this, but I chose the independent.co.uk. And the headline here is, scientists warn zombie deer disease could spread to humans as cases surge across U.S. It's surging. Those cases of deer.
It's surging in deer.
Yes, but it could travel to humans. We just had a whole pandy that allegedly came from animals to people. Mm-hmm.
Maybe, yeah, but they want you to think that you'll get the disease by eating the deer, but really it's more of a vampire situation. You don't want the deer biting you. That's how zombies work.
Yeah, true.
This has, correct me if I'm wrong, this is not new.
I don't think so. I believe we even talked about it like years ago when we were doing like a half-hour show back in the day. I could be wrong, but my memory could be a little shoddy now. But
okay, what are they saying now? Of course, they just got to boot it back up going into 2024, because you need to set the scene for all the disasters going on.
Yeah. Well, there's PC, pre-COVID, and PC post-COVID.
Oh, good. Yeah.
The zombie story hits different now. Okay, scientists have warned a zombie deer disease, in quotes, could spread to humans after hundreds of animals were infected with the illness in the U.S. over the last year. Hundreds over the last year. Okay. Chronic wasting disease, CWD. Yeah, zombie deer disease sounds way better. Which leaves animals drooling, lethargic, stumbling, and with a blank stare, has been found in 800 samples of deer, elk, and moose across Wyoming. Yeah, this has to be about the anti-meat movement. That's what it seems like to me.
I like the blank stare
the
as
blank
a
stare.
symptom. Folks, deer are sort of famously known for their blank stare. In fact, I was just commenting to somebody as we were blabbing on some analysis that the movie trope of deer staring at you in movies became a common movie trope after The Ring. You remember The Ring, Gons?
Yeah.
Yeah, for no reason, they added this scene where like the deer would just stare at you.
Yeah.
And it had to do with nothing. Yeah. Nothing at all.
Well, that's what you think.
And then it keeps popping up. It pops up in movies at least once a year, the sort of strange acting deer coming close to humans and staring at them. Most recently was in the Obama flick, Leave the World Behind. Again, deer staring at people for no reason, no explanation, has nothing to do with the plot. It's just sort of unsettling. A deer standing there staring at you is an unsettling thing because you expect them to run away. And so it feels like there's been some predictive programming over the past decade or two with this zombie deer thing, where for no reason at all, never explained, a deer looking at you means it's a zombie deer. And so we are coming to the sort of fruition of this long-standing PSYOP campaign.
Well, there's a whole folklore and legend behind deer, when it comes to the horned god and things like that. There's a whole pagan side of things. So I'm sure people can do breakdowns on that.
Sure.
But it also reminds me, for them to mention it it's interesting. It kind of reminds me of the movie Men Who Stare at Goats. It's like they tried to mind control the deer and they couldn't do it or something. And they're like, well, look at this blank stare when they zombify.
They do kind of act as if they were some sort of surveillance drone.
Yeah.
Like a deer staring at you is like,
you're being
what do
watched.
You want from me?
You're being watched. But experts
You want
warned.
my data, don't you? That deer just wants all my data.
Well, that's true for everything, aren't we? Just
all wildlife. That's all animals want. Is your data. Come on, folks. It's the way of nature.
But experts warned the disease was a slow-moving disaster. Oh, that's good. And urged governments to prepare for the possibility of it spreading to humans.
Oh, no.
Quote, the mad cow disease outbreak in Britain provided an example of how overnight things can get crazy when a spillover event happens from, say, livestock to people. CWD
That's so
researcher
stupid.
Dr. Corey
That's
Anderson
so
told The Guardian.
stupid. Totally different disease, totally different animal, totally different anything. Please tell me they talk about pangolins and COVID or bats and COVID.
Yeah. Quote, we're talking about the potential of something similar occurring. Something similar, Basil. No one is saying that it's definitely going to happen, but it's important for people to be prepared. Be prepared. Prep. Everybody has to prep for everything now. The government's telling us to prep for all kinds of things, including deer.
Everything.
So the article goes into more stuff. Do we want to go into the UK's plight with cattle and they do. Oh, they talk about biotech. Yeah, okay. Well, let's mention. Okay, it's worth reading some of this. Okay, in 2017, they talk about mad cow disease. It's like okay, and then in 2017, 7,000 to 15,000 CWD infected animals a year were being consumed by humans, according to the Alliance for Public Wildlife. The figure was expected to rise by 20% annually. In Wisconsin, thousands of people have probably eaten meat from infected deer, Dr. Anderson said.
And they're fine, so what's the problem?
Just wait, man. It's going to get worse. CWD is extremely hard to eradicate once an environment is infected. Like, we got a genocide. That's the only solution here. It can persist for years in dirt or on surfaces. And scientists scientists report it is resistant to disinfectants, formaldehyde, radiation, and incineration at 600 degrees Celsius. That's 1,100 degrees Fahrenheit. It is the immortal virus pandemic. It comes after U.S. biotech company Ginkgo Bioworks warned illnesses transmitted from animals to humans could kill 12 times as many people in 2050 than did in 2020.
What?
Hey,
just like a veiled reference to COVID and the bat theory, but they can't actually mention it because it's been proven to not be the case. And what a strange number and what a strange year. What in the world are they talking about?
Well, the people that will die from this in 2050 are those who will not participate in the mind/soul upload into the metasphere.
Yeah, or you got to have your lab-grown meat.
Yeah, right.
Any animal-derived meat is going to make you sick.
Yeah, normal anything is going to be considered dirty. It's got to be sanitized. The company said epidemics caused by zoonotic diseases, known as spillovers, could be more frequent in future due to climate change and deforestation. Between 1963 and 2019, epidemics increased by almost 5% every year, with deaths up by 9%, according to the group's research. Quote, if these annual rates of increase continue, we would expect the analyzed pathogens to cause 4 times the number of spillover events and 12 times the number of deaths in 2050 than in 2020. It warned. Basil,
are they counting COVID in their 2020 year?
Whoever wrote this for the Indy.co.uk, let me find the author's name here. Alexander Butler. Alexander Butler comes from a different timeline where COVID didn't happen. So they have no idea what COVID is or, what happened. And so they were presented with, or maybe that's what the deer disease, maybe he's infected with the deer zombie disease. and he forgot the last 3 years of existence.
It's just the PSYOP cycle they're going for
It's
here.
so weird that they don't mention COVID once in this article.
Yeah.
Very strange. Of course, just as the reference is important to make here, and I'm sure everyone's making it, CDC had a campaign back in 2011. It was the Zombie Preparedness campaign. They describe it as such now. CDC published, quote, Preparedness 101 Zombie Apocalypse to the Public Health Matters blog in 2011. The post was an example of educational entertainment. You see, the CDC was way ahead of the game on edutainment, apparently. Educational entertainment. It used a popular cultural reference to zombies to promote preparedness for different emergencies and disasters. Yeah. The campaign is now retired. You can still learn how to prepare yourself and others by visiting Prepare Your Health website at cdc.gov/prepyourhealth.
Now, I don't remember the exact date on this. I would guess around 2016, but usually 2016 is my guess for almost everything because that's when we got jettisoned into the next timeline because CERN booted up or something. But I think it was around 2016 that it was still live. Their zombie preparedness was still live. Yeah. And it started making the rounds again in the then significantly smaller sort of fringing this again. And they took it down because of people finding it and spreading it around. Like they made this promotional material specifically, not what's the word, but, they used zombie apocalypse allegedly as a popular reference to get people to, talk about preparation seriously. Yeah. And then the second when everybody starts reading it and like getting serious about it, they take it down. It was a very odd moment.
Well, allegedly, here's what I understand. There were a bunch of prepper groups, maybe that were tied to the government or whatever, that were using the zombie reference as sort of their promo for, different things. There was like zombie squad, zombie survival camp. So stuff like that existed. I think the CDC they were like trying to be hip with that whole crowd and like did their thing and then backfired when, people were like, what's going on with the, I thought you guys are supposed to be all like, buttoned up and everything. Oh, it was just tongue in cheek. And by the way, they shut it down in 2021. So what had happened, I remember the 2016, 2017.
Maybe it was 2021 then.
Well, I think it happened twice because I remember us talking about it, who knows when. I mean, I remember people referencing it and discussing it 2014-ish is when I first saw it, maybe even earlier. But then 2016, and, a year and a half of people sitting around researching on the internet. And then I think it gained steam again. And that's when they shut it down, 2021.
Oh, interesting.
So it could be that, in the context of, hey, we're the CDC.
Take us seriously.
Lockdowns have rolled out and we're having trouble. People are not taking us seriously. And perhaps the zombie blog post is, coming back to bite us. So take it down kind of thing. And that's your mundane view. And of course, your more intense view is what do they know? What do they know? What are they preparing for us to even put that into the consciousness of the internet as an official outlet like the CDC is supposed to be? Yeah.
And just to state the obvious, in case anybody needs us to, this is obviously part of the campaign to lock down the food system.
Yeah,
there's more people than ever have been getting into hunting. I went hunting for my first time this year. Like a lot of people are like, I don't know about this food system. I don't know about these meat packing plants always burning down and getting Ebola. And obviously the supply chains are shaky. And so more people than ever are getting into hunting. This has been sort of a notable increase from people who are sort of paying attention. And it's very similar. And I don't in places like Nevada, I think Idaho, Colorado, where basically wild horses inhabit the wilderness and are, breeding fast. And every year there's just like thousands and thousands of these wild horses that are just running the countryside. They claim that they're causing damage in one way or another. But long story short, they're using taxpayer dollars to go slaughter thousands of horses. This is the Bureau of Land Management.
Yeah.
Using taxpayer dollars to just fly a helicopter like out into the desert and machine gun thousands of horses a year, which is very strange. And of course, those who are trying to think critically about it, one theory, or at least an aspect of this is like, they want everybody to be in a car that can be shut down remotely and they can be taxed for their carbon, usage and blah, blah, blah. And they don't want people getting the funny idea that they can just go out into the wilderness and tame a wild horse and have sort of carbon negative transportation, if in the case that things get really wild.
If I can just jump in, I'm sure. As you were talking, I pulled up this article from back in April. USU, that's University of Utah, I believe, professor trying to solve wild horse overpopulation problem. And one of the things he mentions in here is there are no native predators that prey on wild horses. And so you really have a system that's out of balance. And that's sort of his logic, I'm sure, of supporting
out of balance, as if before humans came along with machine guns to kill all the wild horses,
gonna say,
that the world was ruled by a scourge of hordes of horses.
But I think he's thinking about this wrong. If you get, no kidding. But if you can get everybody to just start, using wild horses as part of their transportation system, then the predators become each other, you see. You don't need
you get zombie horses.
You don't need the government to come in and slaughter a bunch of horses. They will slaughter each other. Got to think like an elite there.
Horse wars.
Hannaford, horse wars.
The horse wars have begun.
How do we go from deer to horse? What? Actually,
very similarly related to the emu wars in Australia, when the Australian military lost a war to 20,000 emus. That's a story I've told, and surely I will tell it again. But to bring it around,
I was going to say this. Yeah. Oh, you're going to transition.
This is obviously a psyop to discourage people from getting any funny ideas about going out and harvesting their own meat, not relying on the corporate poisoned food supply system where they can't use this free resource of animals that need to be controlled already, by the way. Hunting is an ecological process that
you're
talks about balance.
Yeah, in the ecosystem of life.
Yeah, but they want to keep people unskilled. They don't want them getting outdoor skills by going hunting. They want to keep people unskilled. They want to keep people, of course, poisoned, unhealthy from our food system. They want people to stay obedient in the end.
Yeah. And one of the things, I don't know how to mention this other than just to make the point that I think 2024, maybe 2025 too, but 2024, one of my predictions is that it'll be a big year for genetic engineering of animals. I think we're going to see some crazy stuff about that this year. And maybe this is sort of the call sign, the little hint about that kind of thing, because if these deers are walking around, we got to vaccinate them. You got to
vaccinate. You've got to genetically modify the deer.
And then if you eat the deer, you're eating vaccinated deer. And then
exactly.
It creates...
We already know they want to mRNA vaccinate our beef. They want to mRNA vaccinate the pork. They want to mRNA vaccinate the plants, for goodness sake.
Yeah.
That's not a joke. And
but I think
that would give another reason for people to get into hunting and providing for their own family instead of relying on the sort of corporate fascism.
Right. Yeah, and I think the genetic engineering won't just come in the form of, hey, we want to engineer it and vaccines and all that, but also in a purity type of context. Like, we want to make a pure deer that's totally free. It's the grass-fed idea, but to the extreme kind of thing.
Right. The genetically modified deer will be better than the wild deer.
Right.
They've been creating animal-human hybrids for decades.
And we'll see that too.
Deer man.
Deer boy. What was
there was that show?
The show.
Sugar Tooth, Sweet Tooth.
Sugar, yeah, whatever. Whatever that
Dear
was.
boy.
Okay, let's move on from that a little bit. We have a little fifth generation conversation.
Fifth generation warfare, the battle for the minds of the population, a war of narratives.
And we have
Real quick, before you get into it.
Yeah.
How's the restream looking? Is it keeping a strong signal? I'm getting messages from across the platforms that there's been some glitches going on.
My tab here says excellent, but it doesn't mean that it is.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's one of our things for 2024, folks, is we'll be experimenting with improvements on the services we use.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All around.
Yeah.
Might be a good one to go check out the RSS if you're listening live and you can't take it anymore.
Oh yeah, and always remember, folks, if you're watching live, you're used to watching live, or you watch it on YouTube, if it's not good, there is always the podcast version. The podcast version is top quality. It's just go to your podcaster player and search for Canary Cry News Doc.
Okay, yes. So let's talk a little psyop, I guess, fifth generation warfare type of thing going on. There was a clip of Obama. He had a lecture for the Obama Foundation, or a sponsored by Obama Foundation event at Stanford, the Cyber Policy Center. And there's a clip that went viral. I have the clip of it here, and I'll play it. But it's not just that clip that I want to reference. It's also the response. This particular video has an edit of Infowars and General Flynn talking about commenting on this Obama clip. And I bring up General Flynn because he's the one that wrote the book about fifth generation warfare, which we need to dive into more, I don't know, deeply, I guess, Basil. But, oops, where did it go? Here it is. No. Oh, no, I lost it. Here we go.
Understand, it's not necessary for people to believe this information in order to weaken democratic institutions. You just have to flood a country's public square with enough raw sewage. You just have to raise enough questions, spread enough dirt, plant enough conspiracy theorizing that citizens no longer know what to believe.
Okay, let's pause there for a second. Any thoughts, Basil, so far on the Obama?
Well, my first thought is I would have liked the clip to start about 10 seconds earlier.
Okay.
Because he's saying all we have to do is flood the town square with conspiracy theories and sewage. And I'm wondering, what perspective is he talking from? Is he pretending to be China here? Is he, of course, clipping it there has the benefit of making it seem like Obama is saying like he wants to spread raw sewage and conspiracy theories. However, we do know for a fact, and is becoming more and more revealed, even sort of publicly and in documented ways, that the government does practice this type of psychological operation of flooding the zone to confuse everybody.
Yeah, it's sort of an interesting admission without admitting it, kind of thing.
Yeah,
he's sort of saying that this is what's happening, but then there was one thing he mentioned there: spread enough dirt. He didn't say it wasn't okay. Let me hear it again.
Dirt.
Let me back it up.
Sewage.
Raw sewage.
You just have to raise enough questions, spread enough dirt.
Spread enough dirt. The dirt. The mainstream usually takes the dirt as fake or false or fabricated or, won't even talk about it at all.
Yeah, thinking about dirty or mud, spreading the gunk type of thing.
Yeah.
But dirt kind of references like the hidden facts.
Right.
If you got the dirt on somebody.
Yeah, you spread it out enough and it's like, well, so you're saying that it's legit. You're basically saying that in his context that he would like people to understand, the people, the crazy conspiracy fringe people, the ones that do all this and are spreading hate or misinfo, they're the ones that spread dirt that's legit dirt?
Right. That's malinformation, Cons. It's
okay.
true facts that cause people to question the government. That's malinformation. Right. So if you have dirt on someone or you have dirt that you're spreading online. It doesn't mean it's false. It just means it's inconvenient for the government.
Yeah. Okay, let's finish out this clip, and then it jumps into Infowars and General Flynn with Alex Jones.
Plant enough conspiracy theorizing that citizens no longer know what to believe. Once they lose trust in their leaders, in mainstream media, in political institutions, in each other, in the possibility of truth, the game's won.
Important clip. You responded to it. It went super viral, General.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at almost 9,000, comments. I mean, over 3 million retweets on this thing. And the reason is, and I want people to go to that, because when we
retweeted it.
When you listen to him, and he came out and said this the other day, to me, there's a scent of fear in his voice. And it's whenever you see Barack Obama come out and start talking like he's talking, it means that they're sort of bringing out their big guns, okay? And the comments that he made, they're so horrible. They're just horrible comments. And for the most part, the people that I'm listening, I pay very close.
He's calling the American people sewage.
He's saying we are the raw sewage of disinformation. I mean, it's just unbelievable. But when they bring him out like this, and he talks the way he talks, that means that there's fear in their ranks. And this is what I sense right now. And that's why we've got to really, really start pushing the truth in every single aspect that we can, whether it's local action or whether it's on national, international shows like your great Infowars.
Exactly.
Okay. Interesting. The man who wrote a book about fifth-generation warfare, I believe, is using a sort of fifth-generation warfare tactic here and mobilizing people.
Sorry, for a second there.
Oh, yeah. You did one of those speedy recovery things on Skype. You know how it backs up and then all of a sudden you go. Are you still there?
Yeah. Sorry. Okay, Stabilize connection. Stabilize connection. You're okay.
But yeah, so what I was saying was General Flynn is using the fifth generation war tactics to mobilize people to actually. But it's interesting because he's trying to get people to mobilize and use the constitutional rights we have, which I'm not necessarily in disagreement with. But I also see the tactic being used to mobilize, and it's very interesting.
Yeah. I think it's. I'm not so sure about the Flynn thing. Flynn has sort of been an interesting character over the years here. And it kind of goes back and forth. Same with the AJ, same with the Tucker, same with everything. We have to come at all of these characters with similar, not necessarily skepticism, but we can't take for granted.
Yeah.
We can't take them for granted that everything they say is worth repeating. But they start coming out and they start laying this stuff on thick.
Yeah.
It's because they have to. It's because they're in a position. Something is not going right and they need to get a handle on the situation.
Right.
Kind of like the zombie deer.
Yeah, zombie deer. Yeah, just roll out this. I could see Obama. Roll out the zombie deer. Get the zombie deer out. Okay. So interesting stuff. And speaking of Barack Obama, it's just so interesting how on one side, the crowd of conservatism, I guess your populist movement, is pretty big now. It is pretty much mainstream at this point. And so it's interesting to see Obama say this, get really aggressive. But of course, the clip went viral. You get all the attention. You get all the talking heads from the right to, demolish what he says. And of course, we stand with a lot of those people. But then you have the stories like this pop up on Variety.com. It's so pointless. December 29th, 2023. Barack Obama names Beyonce's America Has a Problem. And then a couple other songs as his favorite songs of 2023. Did you care what Obama's favorite songs were in 2023?
I'm wondering if anybody really does.
But hey, he gets to say America has a problem. And he gets to speak through the media in this sort of only way his generation knows how is through popular music. So he identifies with the Illuminati
the
queen.
the web of psyop that is sort of institutional media.
Yeah, and it's hilarious. You read, it says, what was former President Barack Obama jamming out to this year? America Has a Problem by Beyonce, featuring Kendrick Lamar.
Please.
A couple other songs. Some of the other, they list a few more here that Obama liked, the songs he liked. There's I Remember Everything by Zach Bryan. There's The Returner. There's Sitting on Top of the World. There's Vampire Empire.
Oh, my gosh.
And then Younger and Dumber. So, I think he's revealing, hey, I want to live forever. Hey,
sounds like he's planning on becoming president again.
It sounds like the second coming of Obama as a vampire, but he's younger because he's drinking. I don't know, but it's just weird, man. It's weird.
Of course. Like it's not conspiracy theory. Again, this kind of goes to the baiting of the establishment to the sort of songs. People are going to look at it and be like, huh, what is he trying to say? What's going on here?
Yeah.
Because, whether or not those are his favorite songs, this is how the sort of hiding in plain sight messaging goes.
Yeah.
And maybe they're just messing with us. Maybe they're trying to instigate a reaction, keep people all hyped up about.
It could be economic too. If they're sitting in the line of money that comes from all the clicks that this type of thing can generate, then hey, might as well.
And it can be all
that
those
stuff
things
out there. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I think it can be all those things, and we should not. And this is where all the psyop about like conspiracy theories are crazy. Oh my gosh, you think aliens are in the White House or whatever. Like the idea of trivializing conspiracy theories is so that they can do it blatantly in plain sight, execute something like this that is blatant messaging, blatantly economically beneficial, blatantly, put out there to trigger people or to keep Obama on the top of everybody's mind, all these things. And it can be all of them at the same time, which means not that we shouldn't be paying attention to it, but that we should. And that's the sort of switcheroonski that, the mainstream has had on the public at large, is convincing them that it's not worth reading or thinking about the music that Obama listened to this year.
Yeah. It just occurred to me too, General Michael Flynn, or retired Lieutenant General, he wrote The Introduction to 5GW, The Citizen's Guide to Fifth Generation Warfare. And he published it. I'm trying to find the exact date he published it, but it almost seems like he knew where the conversation was going to go, or at least somebody knows where and when people like us get a hold of the idea of fifth generation warfare, some of the jig is up, in a sense, because if this type of information becomes popular, then even for people like him in higher places could be, in risk, so he must have gotten ahead of the thing and get the book out, mobilize the people for 2024, the whole deal. So it just seems like,
and also it's also economically beneficial.
Yeah. You get to be one of the first.
That's how those guys pay for everything nowadays.
Yep. Okay.
I want to move my story that I had right there. I'm going to move it to the end of block 2.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, all right. So the Rob.
Gonna learn today.
Cause it's Friday. You ain't got no job. And you ain't got
Are you not entertained?
It's Friday. It's Friday.
Woo! That's right. It's the end of the week. It's the end of the year. It's the end. It's the end before the beginning, Gons. The calm before the storm.
Oh, I thought we've already been through the storm.
No.
A few times, but I guess we've seen nothing yet.
You ain't seen nothing yet, right? Okay, well, we're back from Christmas break. Thank you, everybody, for letting us make some calls last minute there. Gon's great job with the flyby on the 22nd.
Yep.
And we hope everybody had a wonderful Christmas time.
Yeah,
Jesus' birthday.
You're just doing that to trigger like half the audience. I get it. And just to mention, and I feel like we mention this every year, but with the Christmas thing, I don't know about you, Basil, but I've made the whole round trip. Like I've made the round trip of, hey, this whole thing is pagan. And then looking into it a little bit more, and then there's understanding that, okay, there's a cultural thing. There's a, there's all, it's nuanced, folks. And if you're talking about family and spending time and everybody else in your life doing it, it's just kind of, we're not going to sit there and be the bitter guy saying that the whole thing is rooted in paganism and not participate. So, again, we've done the whole round trip on that, and I just wanted to put that out there.
Another reason why I respect the Gilberts so much, Derek and Sharon Gilbert, because they stand so firm
they do.
on their theory and research that there is no historical evidence that Christmas was pagan before Christianity. Now, sure, the sort of Catholic Church as a whole obviously wrapped in some pagan imagery and stuff like that, but they did that with everything. That was how Catholicism took over the world, was they would conquer a new land through a country, a colonizing country like Spain or something like that, and then they would integrate the sort of local pagan stuff into Catholicism to just make it easier to make them all Catholic. And so anyways,
it's branding, folks. It was branding, just medieval branding is all.
Yeah, it really was. Yeah, it really was branding. But the Gilberts sort of,
they go full in, I know.
Stoic. They're stoic, standing tall, like not, what's the word?
Wavering.
An unwavering resolve that Christmas is Christian. I gotta respect that. I mean, sometimes you just pick a side, just go for it. Okay, so good. You had a good Christmas time. I was traveling for Christmas, obviously, going to see some family, and I went to a church for Christmas Eve, little candlelight vigil service or candlelight Christmas Eve service, always something that was a part of my childhood on up through adulthood, was the candle night Christmas Eve service, where you sort of you tease and test the insurance liability
of your church
of the church
thousands of people holding candles in their hands. Yes, I know the logistical headache
with live flame. So that's always fun, a little adrenaline rush. But this church that I went to was funny. They actually ended the whole thing by singing "Happy Birthday to Jesus."
Oh wow!
And I don't know if this is a normal thing for anybody else. It feels like this was sort of the biggest church that I'd been in that sang "Happy Birthday to Jesus." Is this something you've experienced?
No, I've never. No. I mean, the birthday conversation can be, I feel like that's a whole separate conversation. But I was more speaking
September.
Culturally.
What is it? September 11th.
Yeah,
is Jesus' birthday or something.
Well, yes, astronomically aligned birthday.
Sure.
But yeah, is there more? I wanted to mention something about. Let's see. Oh, here we go. I have my doctorate of philosophy. I got my diploma in the mail.
Yeah. Good. So you got your PhD.
I got my PhD.
Deconstruction.
And it's framed, and I got the whole thing. I just want to thank Sir Rightfoot Joy Wrangler of Wiggle Wagons, and we'll thank him properly here in a second. But yeah, we got the note, and I'll just wait till we thank our executive producers, because he is an executive producer today. Also, just a quick shout out to Pizza Rat. Thank you, Pizza Rat. He sent a letter and also it's like a Bible for kids. It's like one of those art Bibles, drawing Bibles, cartoon thingies.
Illustrative,
yeah. But it was interesting. I started reading it. It is a little intense for 3 years old. My 6-year-old was fine, but my 3-year-old picked up on the word "die," because it pops up pretty early in the Bible there, and so now he's walking around going, "You die, you die." And I'm like, boy.
I think that's. Even sort of in a clinical sense, in a secular sort of sense, I think Christian kids, growing up on Bible stories, are far ahead developmentally in a lot of ways. Because, a regular 3-year-olds being raised by a secular person, they're protecting the kid from as much as they can. They're not going to talk about dying. They're not going to talk about sacrifice. They're not going to talk about sort of these broad cosmic concepts. Whereas Christian kids, yeah, from the second they start understanding things, they're being told sort of big stories about death
stuff
and sacrifice and salvation and like some of the biggest concepts that humans wrestle with. Christian kids are starting at like 3 years old. It's
the development right now, so might as well get ahead of it on some of the bigger issues there, and maybe things will work out a little better. But thank you for that. And what else did I have here? I think that was it. I'll again properly thank Sir Rightfoot Joy Wrangler of Wiggle Wagons in a moment.
Yeah. Well, I'll say this. I don't really have much else to say except for it feels good to be back. I know sometimes we take these little breaks, Gons, for holidays or things like that. And I'm always excited to come back. So I want to thank all the producers for keeping the show alive for another year. 2023, we survived. It's incredible. We're moving into 2024. And that's because of the producers. We're very grateful for them. I'm very personally grateful for them. And it's weird to have a job that I actually am like excited to get back to after, having some time off.
Yeah, I didn't actually plug in and pay attention to a lot of news stories for a few days. And it was kind of nice. It was like, oh man, this is great.
You took a break. You took a break. Yes. Good. And I apologize. I see we have some emails in the inbox that I need to get to. I did not spend a whole lot of time doing email admin, but just know you're on the list. I'll be getting to you.
Cool.
And it really does feel, of course, mainstream. Everybody agrees next year. It's just ominous. The whole year is ominous.
Yeah.
And again, we are reminded, Gons, that we are put in a very specific situation, in a very specific point in history, with a very specific set of skills. And, it just feels like we could not have planned this at all, much less planned it so sort of perfectly. So we do feel that the Lord is working through the show, working through the producers. We are bracing ourselves. And in the email today, to join the newsletter, go to canarycry.party, join the newsletter. In the email today, I wrote a little note about how, we're kind of, it's like the calm before the storm, where things are going to get crazy next year. And so we're sort of girding our loins for battle here in this week of sort of chillness. But it feels like we're not just gearing up or armoring up, alone. It's not just you and I. We have like a whole battalion around us, and we're all side by side, sort of girding ourselves for what's to come. And that feels good.
My jacket that I am wearing currently, this big fluffy jacket that's keeping me warm here, came with a big old, I got it for Christmas from my wife, and I got I had a big old sticker on it that said "Conceal Carry Jacket." I was like, ooh,
cool.
I have these pockets where I can conceal carry. It's great.
I like that. I don't have one, but Instagram keeps inviting me to purchase one.
No, now that I've said it out loud on anything that is electronically connected to you, you will be seeing it. Now you're all
going to get it.
You're going to, There you go.
So there you go. We're very grateful for everybody. This is the last episode of the year, but we will be back on Monday, January 1st, starting out the year, where the year starts. Okay, and with that, speaking of producers, let's thank some executive producers.
Executive producers.
Woo! That's right. We're on the value for value model, folks, which means we don't take any money from corporations, commies, or cartels. There is no third party benefiting from your connection to us. And that's the way it should be. Value for value. Very simple. It's not how many brains we can get to listen to the show that we can then sell that attention to a third-party corporation for our own personal gain. That makes you the product, folks, not the show. The show is the product, and the only way to keep the economics of this show around the product is value for value, which means we put out the show, we put it out for free, we try to pack in as much value as we can across the sort of Canary Cry family of products. And if you get any value from the show or the community or whatever, you're invited to put some value back in, participate. Because it's this paradigm shift that says, hey, it's not just about an economic transaction. This is not a transactional relationship. This is the paradigm shift of, hey, a thing exists that brings value to my life. The thing will not exist that brings value to my life if value is not put in. There's no holding episodes for ransom, making you pay for premium episodes, whatever. We don't even put a paywall on our Discord channel like everybody else. But nothing is transactional around here. It's simply, we believe that if enough people get value from the show and enough people put value back in the form of their time, their talent, or their treasure, when it is, when they're able to do so, then the show will continue. And it's worked so far, and we're praying that it keeps working. And remember, you can produce the show by going to canarycry.support, and you can give of your time, your talent, or your treasure. Lots of ways to become a producer.
Yep.
But the executive producers, they come in strong, so strong like bull. They
like
they
deer.
come